You will accept more of yourself today. And I will tell you, the only difficulty that you've had in your life is your unwillingness to accept more of yourself. Because, see, that happens every single day, and it's a choice that we each have to make every day. And when we make that choice, then we're living as our authentic selves. But a lot of times that's really challenging because we don't want to become our authentic selves always because it might be a little too exposing for us. We might become too vulnerable if we have to own ourselves. But then you have to ask yourself, why were you born? Now, you may not have accepted yourself during this time because our world is moving through a great change. The last several days, I've put up several messages where I have put in messages that were given to me that I received from Wilhelm on the same date over many, many years. And I can go in and explain the science of that because we exist in the world as energy, all of us. And that energy is connected to the galaxies, the planets, the stars, all of that. And we are affected by those energies. And then what we choose to do with that energy will then cause something to happen in our lives, but also in the world, because we as humans are creating everything. We're creating our world, we're creating our governments. That's the message that you'll see in this, what I'm going to give you, because we think that it's somebody out there that is directing our lives, and then we come to understand that it's always us. Now, but that is a process of our consciousness or the elevation of our consciousness, which happens within us if we decide to accept who we are. But then we put that into the world, in the collective consciousness. Everyone won't do that, so you have to decide if you're going to do it. But sometimes that is challenging because you're meant to be unique. And so you come into the world and you start discovering all these other folks who are having these differing ideas, and you get lost. Well, then that's when I came along because I was supposed to live a life where I would bring in a new philosophy to give people the ability to really live these wonderful worlds. And if more people did wonderful life, and if more people did that, then we would create this great world. And so this morning, I put up a message. Well, yesterday actually, I put it up there, and it says, "Peace is still at hand." Because last year I was given a message saying peace is at hand because I'm looking at the world and we're wondering, well, what's going on and what's going to happen? And it will change when we decide to accept more of ourselves. It's a collective journey. It's not one person who's doing it. But you have to decide that your goal in life is to become yourself, is to love yourself, become happy, abundant, and you have all of those things within you because it was given to you at birth. Now, we don't always accept that because we also have different evolutionary paths that we are following that we're meant to. And then when it shows up that we are now living as our authentic selves, wow, something changes. And I know that because that's what I am doing. Now, my life was a lot different. I had to live it. I wrote it down every single day for 35 years. And I've said this to people often. They ask, well, what is different about your work? I said, well, I guess what I was meant to do was to bring together personal development, self actualization, and ascension. Because that's why we live. We come into the world, we live in bodies for a while, and then we die. So, wouldn't it make sense that we would have something we were supposed to bring to the world that would cause us to feel worthy and valuable and all that? We do, but we've also been talked out of it. Meaning, we have to understand when we come in, we're also coming in with all the ideas and beliefs that everyone has that has existed before, and so it can be challenging for us to accept ours. It was so challenging for me to tell people that I'm sitting down and receiving cosmic guidance that was in alignment with the universe. And I knew that because I was healing, because I went through every physical difficulty and challenge and all of those things. And I'm 73 and they're gone. And that is what is in this work. But I had to talk about it today. And I'm going to give you another little ebook because it's the last one that I'm doing, as I've said many times. But this one, will make much more sense to you because now what I must do is get on with creating the rest of it. I have to accept more of myself. It was like mind-boggling to me, especially when I put up the message about the, in the last couple of days, because there's a channeling session there. If you listen to that one, it was done on September the 19th of 2021. And so I'll leave those links in the description of this one because I would love for you to see them. Because if you just listen, if you just work through all of these this information I'll give you, you will feel so different. You will understand yourself in a much greater way. You will start to accept yourself. And so you'll have this message that I'm putting out on the 30th of September because it's so brilliant that you'll love it. But then I want you to look at all the others because if you put them all together, you will be shifted. And then you will also understand what my work is because my work is only about guiding any individual to living this great life. And the more of us who do that, we have a great world. That's how it works. And it's just science. You are not any different than anyone else. You just have an evolutionary path or journey that you're meant to follow. But I'm going to tell you something. I did this. These are the messages start in 2008. There was a reason for that because there was an energetic shift that happened when was receiving it. We can go through the astrology of all of this and to see the connection of all of it because there is a connection in the universe and you have it. It is within you. Now, I just did something different. Yes, I channeled a message on your birthday in 2012, and that was challenging for me to accept it first. Like, how did that happen? I didn't know I was doing it. I didn't know I had done this. You don't know either. We see it later after we've lived it, and that's what happened. But here are some of the titles, and you'll see them in order, because Wilhelm had me put them down in order so we can see progression. We have progression in ourselves, but also progression in the world. And the world looks now like it's going backwards. That's what many people have said, but it isn't. It's doing that so that we can move forward. But that happens when we accept ourselves. You are that valuable. That's why you were born. There's no human who wasn't born with that. We just interpret it incorrectly at times, depending on when we live and also depending on what we've been taught. So there's so many here. It's called illusion. We will understand eventually that the physical world is illusion. Many people have talked about that, and you can study a lot of it, but you'll read it in the message. All of these will make so much sense to you, and you will understand how they came in order, just in different years. Every September 30th, I did many like this, and you'll see all of those as well. Then acceptance. We are the ones who have to accept ourselves, and that's always a process. You're going through that since the time you were born, trying to get your parents to accept you first. Then you have to go out on your own, and then you're doing that in the world continually. And then confluence. That was a word I didn't even know what that meant. Confluence. That means that you are aligned with the universe and it comes together, and then eventually you see that understanding and you feel this sense of confluence, or because you feel a lot more at home with yourself. Frustration. The only frustration you ever experience is when you're not willing to move and accept yourself. That's all that it is, because you think you can't do something. And you'll get that from this message as well. And experiences. All your experiences are great. That just sounds like doesn't make sense until you understand that you had to have them to get to the next place of where you're meant to go in your life. And then you say, oh, wow, I've gained something now. So every experience, no matter how you've judged it, it has helped you to get there. What you desired. We all come to the world with a desire, something within us. We have it when we're younger, but then we sometimes forget it. It's time to remember it because that's when you become your authentic self because it was given to you when you were born. And then what you know now for sure, that's always limited. But we think we know everything, and then that blocks us so we can't see anything else. This doesn't make sense. I'm not going to look at this. What can that? And that's what happens because we think we know it all. And then this is perfect. If you can have that idea, hold that idea with any situation that you're moving through, oh wow, do things change? Because then you start looking for the perfection instead of the disaster that you might be thinking you're moving through. That never happens. I can tell you that for sure because I've lived it. And then your life always makes sense eventually. That was a wonderful one. You'll love that one. Your life always makes sense eventually. And release all your limitations. Those words sound so great, but we don't do it. But it's given in this way so you can see it's a pattern. We do it eventually over time. And so you can't judge yourself that you haven't done it. You just have to decide that today you're going to do it. You'll see a message like that too. Your power is always in the moment of now. And when we can stay there, we have it. Release all your limitations. Again, okay. The end of doubt. There isn't that. And that's the thing that you come to find out because doubt will always be there as long as you're alive because that means there's more that you can accomplish. And you just have to be coming willing to take that next step of self-acceptance to accomplish it. Then, the other one, this is let us be frank. That was a funny one, and you'll love it because they start out, let us be frank, or Joe, or Sally, or Mary, or anyone else. That was to say, we're all the same, and we come to figure that out eventually. And what you heard is real. We all have this intuition. We all have heard something, and probably we put it away, said, no, that's not me. And then you start thinking you have the imposter syndrome and all of that stuff. You'll come to understand what you hear is real, but you just have to take the time to begin to trust yourself. That's all. And then the source of your frustration is you. So it has to keep bringing those things back so we can understand we're not frustrated because of what's happening out there. We're frustrating because of what we are unwilling to do, what we are unwilling to own. And I know I've held back forever. So I do understand your difficulty. Um, and then last year, what I was given was you will accept more of yourself now. That's now is meant to be every single day because it's always a process. And this is what, if we can understand that, we can get through anything. And I can say this for sure because I've been through everything. And so I know what you can do. This is why when I work with people, I know that there are no limitations because I move through them and I've created ways for others to do the same thing. But now what I'm doing is I'm going to get back to finishing the books and all of the things that I could put in and all the little ebooks. I could create so many different courses, and that's what I'm going to give everyone because I would like for you to live a great life, and I would like for us to have a much better world. And that's what happens when you ascend to the highest state of your consciousness and live the life you're supposed to have because it is within you. You're going to love this um, little book, but you're going to love the others. And if you read all of them, your life will be changed. And then you'll decide if you're going to join my work because that's going to take you to a whole new level because as I've said, I've only put a portion in. Now what I'm doing is putting all of it in. And so this is why it's going to be the most valuable, expensive kind of thing anyone could own because it would be all you need to live a really great life and make a contribution to our world. Please subscribe to the channel if it's your first time here, share it with others, and I will see you all real soon. Thanks.